Hi everyone, welcome to a new week of movement lessons. As you would be aware, I haven't been teaching for the last couple of weeks. Just with the upcoming Feldenkrais Summit, it felt important to take a bit of time off before that. And then obviously I've come back on this week to complete the series of 50 lessons that I've been doing during lockdown. Again, this will be the third series that I've done during lockdown, so that's a total of roughly 150 lessons. The first series is a breathing series. I have taken most of those off from my YouTube channel. I may make them available later as a purchasable series. You can still access my movement meditation series via YouTube. And the second series, the lockdown lessons, is also available. Most of those can be accessed in my Thoughtful Movements community group, but you can get them on YouTube as well. Thank you for tuning in. I hope people will watch the replays. This week's lessons, I want to kind of head in the direction of playfulness. Playfulness being the subject that I was invited to talk about for the upcoming Feldenkrais Summit. I'm not sure if I would say I'm an expert on the subject, but what I do have some insight maybe into what playfulness is, and I think that that's hopefully what I've conveyed during the talk. I think one of the things that I try to do when I create my lessons is think about things from different angles and also experiment. And I think that those are fundamental components of playfulness, and maybe that added to the appeal. So hopefully some of you have experienced those things in my teaching previously, and that's what's in store for you this week. Great. So today's lesson is going to be exploring a specific movement of the arms, but it's going to become clear as we do the lesson that we're not really focused on the arms in this lesson. So what I'd like you to do when you're ready is come to a comfortable sitting position. And in your comfortable sitting position, maybe if you can, sit towards the front of the chair. As you sit towards the front of the chair, it gives your pelvis a little bit more mobility in terms of the directions that it can go in, rather than you sitting back towards the back of the chair. Great. So just take a moment in that sitting position just to settle into it, to notice how your feet are resting on the floor. If you haven't done any of these lessons in sitting in a while, just take a moment to kind of familiarize yourself with how your body feels in this moment, how it feels to be sitting, what position your legs are in. Are your legs directly, or are your knees directly above your feet, or are they kind of out to the side? How have you organized yourself in this moment? Great. So what I'd like you to do is bring one hand up, and turn it over, so that so this is my right arm. I'll just describe it. The outside edge of my hand is pointing towards the left, and my palm side is pointing towards the right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over with my left hand, and I'm going to interlace my hands in this strange position. Okay. So again, just to demonstrate, my right arm is out long, and I've turned it over so that my palm is turned to the right, the top of my hand is turned to the left. I'm going to reach over with my left hand and interlace my two hands. Okay, so this is a strange position, but hopefully it's not too uncomfortable. If it is uncomfortable, you can do the lesson in this position or in this position. That's okay. If you can, take this position. All right. Then what I want you to do is very gently do a tiny little movement to the left and a tiny little movement to the right. Just really small. Make it really small to begin with, and feel how easy that feels. Again, take some time to feel into how you're sitting on the chair. Can you breathe as you do this? Good. And then uninterlace your hands and bring them down and just take a rest. So one of the things that I think is interesting with the subject of playfulness is to do with challenge as well, and how we can approach things that are challenging from a playful perspective, and how that can potentially make the challenging act easier. Okay, so that's what we're kind of going to do in this lesson today, and some of the others this week. So when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is go back to the same thing, but swap over your hands. So this time, extend your left hand, turn your palm so it's facing to the left, the top of the hand is facing to the right. Take your right hand over the top and interlace your fingers. Okay, very gently begin to take your arm structure to the left and then to the right. And breathe. Maybe you want to close your eyes as you do this. And you can feel as you begin to take your hands and your arms to the right and to the left, that really this isn't anything to do with the arms. You can feel the movement in your chest, in your back. You might even feel your head turning slightly. Good. Good. And then when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is begin to make a small circle with your arms. Begin to make a small circle. So you lift the arms up a little, take them across to the left, down a little, to the right. Just a really small circle. And you can feel how this feels for you. Does this feel like a challenge? When you're ready, take the arms in the opposite circle, reverse the circle. Good. De-interlace your hands, bring your arms down and take a rest. So we're going to rush through those couple of introductory bits, and we're just going to repeat that part on the other side. And then we're going to go into a slightly different movement and see if we can improve the function of this circling of the hands without involving the arms in some way. Great. So when you're ready, take your right arm up again, turn it over, interlace your left hand over the top, and begin to make a circle with this arm structure. Go a few times in one direction just to see how it feels. How much of a challenge does it feel? How easy does it feel? Can you slow it down? Go within your comfortable range. Yeah, and reverse the circle when you're ready. Good. Bring your arms down and take a rest. So that's just to give you an idea of where you're at right now with that movement, before we've gone into making anything easier in some way. If you want, you can, in the comments, let me know how you found that. Did you find that comfortable? Did you find it easy? Was it difficult? Did you have to take your time? So I've called this lesson Pelvic Clock with a Constraint. You can see that having the arms in this position is a form of constraint. So what we're going to do now is move on to a slightly different movement. So when you're ready, I'd like you to bring your arm up and interlace your hands again. And you're just going to leave your arms in this position as much as you feel comfortable to do so. Whenever you need to, you can bring them down and take a rest. Okay? What I'd like you to do is begin to take your pelvis in a circle now. So I'm just going to take my arms down as I described the circle. So the movement of the pelvis in sitting, you could rock the pelvis backwards and you can rock the pelvis forwards. That would be towards 6 o'clock and towards 12 o'clock on the clock face. So if you imagine that you've got a clock face underneath your pelvis that you're sitting on the chair, 6 is towards the back, 12 is towards the front. Okay, You've also got 9 o'clock towards the left side and 3 o'clock towards the right side. Okay, so what I want you to do with your arms interlaced in this position is to begin taking your pelvis very slowly, like as an initial movement around the hours of the clock. Okay, so I'm not asking you to do just a linear movement, the 6 and 12 movement. What I'm saying is, can you begin to make the movement of the pelvis go all the way around the hours of the clock? So from 12, I go to 11, 10, 9, and then from 9, I go from 8 to 7 to 6. And then from 6, I go from 5, 4, 3, all the way back up to 1 and 12. And just see if you can kind of like form that circle with the pelvis. And see if you can do it playfully. Like allow there to be a little like unfamiliarity with the movement. Allow you, like, it doesn't matter if it looks good. It doesn't matter if you're doing it right even. Just play with it. See if you can explore the movement of the pelvis in this way. Again, if you need to rest your arms, you can do that. What I want you to do is get familiar with the arms being in a constraint position, but the pelvis still being mobile. And can you keep breathing as you do it? Take a little rest with the arms. Bring the arms down, take a little rest. When you're ready, bring your left hand up, interlace your right hand over the top. So this is the opposite of what we were just doing, interlacing the right hand over the top of the left hand. And begin to make the circle of the pelvis in the opposite direction. So now you're going from 12 to 1 to 2 to 3, 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, which is rocked backwards. From 6, you come up 7, 8, 9, rocked over to the left side. 9, 10, 11, 12, coming to the front. Hi TC, nice to see you in the chat. See if you can make this movement of your pelvis, do it very gently, very slowly, all the way around the hours of the clock. Take your time. Again, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look good. It doesn't matter if you're not doing it exactly. What matters is you're trying, you're heading in a direction of this movement becoming more possible. Good. Good. Take a few more times just to kind of go around the circle. See if you can find all the hours of the clock. All the hours of the clock coming forwards. And when you're ready, reverse the circle. Come round in the other direction, going from 12 o'clock to 9 to 6, 6 to 3, back up to 12. See again if you can find all the hours of the clock. Good. Bring your arms down and take a rest. So just notice how you feel now as you sit, as you rest your arms. Maybe your arms and your shoulders needed a slight rest from that position. How are you sitting now? How are your feet resting on the floor? Good. And just without lifting the arms up, see if you can find those circles again with the pelvis. See if you can find those circles. Just exploring this idea of a clock with the pelvis, sitting on a clock face, 12 being the top, 6 being the back, 3 being the left side, 6 being the, 9 being the left side and 3 being the right side. Hi Simone, how's it going? Good. So just play with it. See if you can explore, go a few times in one direction with the pelvis round the clock. and then a few times in the other direction. Are there any hours that you miss or you skip over? When you're ready, you can reverse the circle. Good. Okay. When you're ready, bring your right hand back up. Take your left hand over the top and come back to making this pelvic clock with the arms in this constrained position. And see if you can kind of feel a developing smoothness in the rotation of the pelvis. So that the pelvis is able to kind of like flow around the clock all the way. And that the arms really don't form any kind of obstacle to the movement of the pelvis. When you've done it a couple of times, you can change and go in the other direction. So almost like you can feel that the arms have become less of a constraint. Good. Bring your hands down, take a little rest. And we'll just do that one more time, just on the other side, so with the other hand, but just take a rest, rest your arms. Just notice your breathing, how you're sitting. And when you're ready, bring your left hand up, interlace your right hand over the top. And again, maybe start off by going in the opposite direction. But again, just begin to roll the pelvis around the clock face. Going from 12 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And just sort of seeing if you can kind of have a smooth movement of the pelvis, even with the arms in this position. Once you've done it a couple of times in one direction, you can change directions, take the pelvis around the clock. Good. And then when you're ready, bring your arms down and take a rest. So I don't know if you feel that you're sitting differently after doing that, or your pelvis is organized, or your legs are organized in a different way. Or you could feel the change in smoothness as you continue to do that circling around the clock, that from the beginning when you first tried it to at the end when we were just doing it, that it was a much easier movement. I hope that's the case. If you want to put that down in the chat, or any experiences you had, that would be great. Good. And then when you're ready, bring your right hand up again, turn the hand over so that the top of the hand is facing to the left, the palm side is facing to the right. Interlace your hands over the top. Okay, so now you've got this arm structure again. And a few times, just take your arms a little to the left and a little to the right. And notice how that feels now. Is there any change in the smoothness or the kind of sense of comfort or ease of doing this movement? Taking the arms a little to the left and a little to the right. Come back to the middle. Very gently, take the arms slightly upwards, so you're not going to see me for a second, and slightly downwards in this position. Slightly upwards and slightly downwards. And notice as you take your arms up and down, does your pelvis move to support this? Does your pelvis change position in order to support the arms coming up and the arms coming down? Good. Bring your arms down. Take a little rest. When you're ready, take your left hand up over the top. Oh, sorry, your left hand up, turn it over. Right hand over the top. begin to take your arm structure a little to the left and a little to the right. And just feel how that feels on this side, this interlacing. Can you feel, even doing the side-to-side movement of the arms, if there's any involvement of the pelvis? Good, and when you're ready, come to the middle and take the arms slightly down, and slightly up. And notice if your pelvis changes position to support the movement of the arms. Good. Leave your arms in the middle and begin to make a circle. Begin to make a circle. And you can allow the circle to be as comfortably big as you like. It doesn't really matter. What matters is you feel a sense of ease in the movement of the arms. And has anything changed from when you first did this movement with the arms? Has your sense of range or your sense of ease changed? And can you feel any influence of the movement of the arms down in the pelvis? Good. And the next time your hands are down, just take the interlacing out and rest your arms for a moment. Again, we're going to swap over and just do that again on the other side. But just rest your arms. And maybe you can notice as you're doing that, you're feeling like there's more integration throughout the whole of you. And I am putting words in your mouth, but that's also my experience as I do the lesson. So I don't know if that's something that you feel yourself. Okay, so when you're ready, take your right hand up, palm side to the right, top of the hand to the left. Take the left hand over the top, interlace the hands, get a nice strong interlacing, and begin to take your arms in a circle. And you can explore the circle as much as feels comfortable to you. This isn't a stretching exercise, but you can feel that as you take the arms in certain directions, it's like, oh, that's the end of my range. Maybe I should come back a little bit from it. But I wonder if the end of your range has changed just by doing some movements with your pelvis and not focusing on the movements of the arms. And you can change and you can go in different directions. You can go in the other direction. Again, you could make this a really small circle. It doesn't matter. Whatever feels comfortable to you. There isn't any pressure to get anything right. That's kind of fundamental to this. What it is a way for you to experience your own movement and your own ability to change. Great. Bring your arms down for the final time and rest. So just take a moment not doing anything. Stop the doing process. What do you notice when you stop doing? Do you notice that there's some part of you that's still doing something? Maybe the movement of your breath is still doing something. Maybe it's not you doing it, but there's still some action, there's still some activity. Great. If you want to do it one more time, just to kind of play with it, just interlace your hands again and take them around the circle. or you could interlace your hands and take your pelvis around the circle. You can play with that at any time, just as a way of kind of, bringing more mobility into the upper chest and more mobility in the pelvis. Key things to remember as you do it is just to start in a way that feels really right to you, not to kind of like go towards like, I want to achieve this, or this is the right way to do it, this is the wrong way to do it, but just to play with it and feel in yourself, oh, when I do this, that doesn't feel quite right, so maybe I'll stop and I'll do something a bit smaller or softer. Just be responsive to yourself. Great. So that's the end of that lesson. Pelvic clock with a constraint. I hope you found that interesting. Tomorrow's lesson, I believe, is to do with eye coordination. And this is a favorite lesson of mine that I use to confuse people. So if you fancy having your senses a little bit confused in a playful way, tune in tomorrow at 11. Again, the series this week is in relation to the summit, the upcoming summit talk that I'm giving on the 3rd of May, around giving ourselves permission to be playful. And it's not about external permission, it's more about internal permission. I hope to see some of you there. There is a link in the description of this post to the summit. You can sign up for that for free. That link is an affiliate link, so if you do decide to sign up for the lifetime access, I would get some portion of that purchase. There's a lot of P's in that sentence. Great, nice TC. Thank you, Simone, as well. Glad you liked it. Yeah, so I'll be on every morning this week, 11 a.m. Hope to see you tomorrow, and have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.